Hello, my amazing people. I greet you according to your time. If it is your first time and you like what we are doing here, kindly subscribe, put on your notification bell to all notification. It's very, very important because it will enable you to know when we upload a new video. Here we react to all forms of videos, we educate, we inform the members of the public about what is happening. And to you, YouTube, I appreciate you for creating this wonderful platform that we are using to disseminate information. At the same time, I put a disclaimer that here in Linda's TV show, we do not promote violence, we do not promote hate speech, we do not promote misleading information. Rather, we are here to educate, inform the members of the public, and also to remind you too that a call for self-determination is never a call for war. Every country in the world have this.
Nation. That he was on spot. He spoke forcefully and spoke like a leader. That I must admit. He made the right points, and many people will agree with him that our country faced, what we call revenue crisis, and we are spending so much money subsidizing petroleum, and just busy going to fill the gaps by borrowing from everywhere we could borrow money from, instead of thinking of how to reduce our costs and outgoings. So it was clear that there was a crisis, and if nothing was done, there was the real possibility of a real financial bankruptcy for the country. That is a given. And his explanation as to that he had to do it, and that it was a hallmark of leadership to take painful decisions, I think must have really received understanding by the audience he was speaking. The challenge we still have is how to make sure that down the line, the people that are affected by the impact of this really understanding the way the elite in Riyadh, or some of those who are watching the television will understand. The people that are really affected, we have not effectively communicated with them to let them know the necessity that this was overriding. But was it something that we ought to do? Yes. The question is, was this the best way to do it? Leaders use different methods to achieve their results. The important thing is the result that is achieved. Your method will be justified if the result is good enough.
So, I mean, what effect do you think the explanation the president was giving to the world leaders, what effect do you think it will have, not only on the Nigerian economy, but perhaps on the manner in which the world will make a business with Nigeria, or will do business with Nigeria?
I think it will be positive, because the president sounded quite strong. He sounded as somebody who was on the balls, who had control over the situation, and who had a deep-seated understanding of what needed to be done to save his country from going into bankruptcy. I mean, it was a very strong, he used those words were well, it reverberated with all those people who understand banking, who understand financial situations, and the difficulty of any nation, any corporation going into bankruptcy. The question is, now that we have, halted that bankruptcy, what are we doing to ensure that we actually exit bankruptcy? Because for me, it is just a temporary relief right now. We've seen the actions taken. More money is flowing in from the two engines, from the two engines of removal of subsidy and, floating of the Naira, so to say. A lot of Naira is coming in. The question is, how do we use this Naira so that the citizen whom he said this decision was taken for their behalf will see it beyond palliative? Because for now, all they know is palliative. And I don't know how long that palliative mentality will last. We need to get down to the level where it will begin to impact their lives on a sustainable level through employment and poverty reduction, so that the lasting memory and the lasting significance will be cross-cutting in the entire economy.
So let's take a look again with the president had shown or said to the world, these are my intentions of removing fuel subsidy. These are the dangers that were looming if we did not do it. And these are what we think that if we do it, we might be able to achieve. Those thinking, would you say have materialized in terms of the needed outcomes in the removal of fuel subsidy in the real sense, based on what the president told the global leaders in Riyadh?
We're waiting for the outcome. We're waiting for the outcome. What we have seen a lot is the downside, principally for the ordinary citizen. The government forecasters are blowing up with naira inflow. It's making governance easier. But remember that even the president himself called it a tax at some time. The fuel subsidy removal is a tax on the common man. He knows that because he's a tax person and he's an accounting person. So we've taken this tax from ensuring that the citizenry receives the benefit on a sustainable basis. For the rest of the world, they have seen a president who seems to understand the rudiments of economics, who understand that if you want to attract investment to your clime, you must, first of all, be transparent. You must, as much as possible, be open and minimize opacity, minimize lack of transparency, and minimize all the malfeasance that goes on in oil subsidy, whether it was real or unreal, and all the arguments that went around them. Nigeria became really a laughing stock. Some people were making money out of this subsidy for several years, and therefore, and it was a very weak point. Not only was it hurting our country in the image, it was hurting the country in terms of income. It was being shared at some level, some real, some unreal. So for that, he has made a good point to the international community. The international community will see him as a man who is willing to take a risk, who is willing to make decisions, because it is true that there's one challenge of leadership to know when to make decisions. Sometimes those decisions can be painful. And then there's a risk involved. You remember when Jonathan tried to remove a subsidy in 2012, the country was grounded. His government would have been overthrown. It was possible. So there's a risk. But we seem to have ridden the crest this time because it's been a long time and people are a little bit more conditioned. They knew the inevitability of this to happen, that someday this oil subsidy was going to go. So psychologically, there was some bit of expectation, even though the implementation was very sudden. So I think from the global perspective, President Tinubu scored the bull's eye. Now, for me, is how quickly we can ramp down by all the issues that are being discussed to make sure the money is not frittered away in going to fancy projects. I'm already beginning to hear of fancy projects, which I don't think relate to the need for now to enthrone and get productive capacity up. We need to ensure that we begin to export non-oil in a manner to ensure constant and unbroken flow of foreign exchange into the economy, and put in an export drive and bring in commercial agriculture, put some money in and support to manufacturing. I haven't heard so much about manufacturing. And manufacturing is today the greatest job creator in most climes. So we need to be sure that that is done. That's only where I have my fear. And if what is done in this impressive outing in Riyadh is followed through by ensuring that we can see the flow of that money, we can have a direct sight of where the money is going, and that is affecting a couple of things, as I have said: employment, poverty elimination, and the general well-being of the people. At the end of the day, as he said at some point, it's like the pain of pregnancy. After a while, the mother will forget it and will wish to get another baby. That's our best hope. But to be sincere, it will require a lot of hard work,
So there are those who will say the reality of removing fuel subsidy is that because of the nature of the market, the price should be oscillating, and that the fact that the product should be available. But now, if you check on the streets of Nigeria, in Abuja here, and in some part of Port Harcourt, in some part of Lagos, few queues have returned to the street. And so the question is, what exactly is going on? Just around the time that everybody is talking about what Dangote refinery is doing, the impact on the price of diesel. So the availability of price on one hand, and those who are suspecting that the government may not be 100% truthful in the administration of this subsidy, that in the real sense of it, a fuel subsidy payment is still being made at some levels. Do you think so?
Well, officially, government has denied that there's no subsidy, but since we still can do some arithmetic and we can make some calculations, informed intelligence calculation, it looks to us as if government is not being completely open to us. Now, I understand what is happening, and I can empathize with government. If government had allowed the subsidy removal to remain consistent in totality, responding to other factors in the economy, both global economy and local economy, will be paid more. And they saw the impact of the first and second removal, if you want to say something like that, and that it was hot on the people. And every government that wants to stay in power, every government that wants to be seen as a government that is working for the people, must moderate and manage policies in a manner that will not lead to a complete rejection, outright rebellion. Because if we had continued on that level, consistently at that quick level, Naira devaluing, and then we're allowing the price of oil to continue to fall or increase in line with the devaluation of the Naira, will have been in real chaos. No matter how courageous any president will be, that could tilt it again. So I think government had no choice but to begin to moderate and mediate this subsidy removal. For me, my simple arithmetic tells me that there must be some level of subsidy. But how government is managing it, I do not know. All kinds of financial, in this government, one of the things you can say for government is a government full of financial engineers. Very few mechanical or product or manufacturing engineers. We have many financial banking people. So they can always design some product that can absorb the subsidy without our seeing it. But is there subsidy management? I think there is. And I also can understand it, except somebody who does not wish Tinubu or wish the government well will say, go ahead with the complete subsidy removal and let the market float, let the Naira float. That will be disastrous. I'm sorry to use those hard words, but it's going to be quite difficult. So President Tinubu and his advisors and well-wishers will have been asking him, you need some moderation. Because as I say, what will be the benefit of a man to have 10 billion Naira in his account, yet his children are hungry, his children are dying, and he said, no, I'm saving money. I want to have more money so that I can do something in future when the people are not alive today. So that wisdom, which is what I think has begun to play, is leading to this, what you might call ambivalence in the management. But it is, for me, is dynamic, and it shows that it's situational. Leadership is situational. Managing an economy is situational. Managing human living is situational. It should not be a fast thing. You know, I've said it, it must happen that way. You destroy the human being because the human being, responds to so much stimuli in the marketplace. So government needs to keep its eye where it's going, the vision, the ultimate deregulation, the ultimate freeing of the market. That, for me, as chairman of Nigerian Economic Summit Group or president of the African Economic Summit for 2024, will suggest and agree that we need to deregulate the market, de-risk the market, allow free flow of goods and services, and let the market determine through incentives. But in doing so, we must be sure that we are not stacked against the odds. You know, when you are deregulating and when you do not have enough source of foreign exchange income, you are putting the odds against you. When you are removing subsidies and you don't have sufficient productive capacity to produce the product so that you have a market equilibrium in terms of market supply, and also the competition that will moderate prices, because competition moderates prices and ensures that nobody takes advantage of the market. Thank God it's on. Refinery is yet to come on, to the best of my knowledge. Kaduna, worry. If we can get all these refineries on, it will help, because we can see the immediate impact of Dangote, at least on diesel. That shows that if we have local capacity, local production, whatever name you call it, is going to be positive to the economy. So this is the way I say it, Sh0Ck.
Yeah, so you hear what the NNPC has said, and NNPC said, which clarified, or from their own point of view, defending perhaps the reason for some of the scarcity that we have seen. And NNPC said that the tightness in the supply of PMS, which is petrol, currently being experienced in some areas across the country, is as a result of logistics, and that they are being resolved. It also wishes to reiterate that the prices of petroleum products are not changing. It urges Nigerians to avoid panic buying, as there is a sufficiency of products in the country. That is the explanation of the NNPC. But we do know that even a 24 hours of logjam or some kind of logistic hitch or glitch in transportation or moving of product could cause almost a week of a shortage. Because then what happens is that before you can be able to then move to fix the logistics problem, there would have been the gap is going to be there, because most of these products are being moved on the road by these tankers. I mean, in a country as this, if what the government is saying is right, in the sense of the refineries that could still come on stream, plus the Dangote refinery, how do we then get out of this movement of product? In which case, if there is any kind of glitch in the transportation, it's going to cause days of shortage and days of seeing queues at the filling station.
Sh0Ck, when I say there's so much work to be done, I was speaking because I have an understanding of how systems run. Because a little break at one end can cause so much ripples at the other end. Our systems are disjointed, not properly synchronized. And that is worsened because of the monopoly of an NPC, which we know that that agency has been trying to reform and perhaps is getting better. But it was at some point dysfunctional, to use words that may be seen as not quite positive. It wasn't quite functional. Monopoly breeds dysfunction. Monopoly breeds corruption. Monopoly breeds complacency, because when there is competition, both in terms of product availability, you compete on product availability, you compete on product quality, you compete on service, you compete on speed of delivery and cost to benefit ratio. There are many items of competition in any given market. But if you have a monopoly, then you become complacent. And when it's a monopoly of a commodity, which is like blood for the economy, then you're even double complacent. So it will take some time as we deregulate. We need to get more actors into the scene. And getting the actors is not just at one level, it's through the chain, from upstream, midstream, downstream, distribution, refinery distribution, storage, trucking, and transportation. I thought that all the noise we've been making about railways, so many times I've heard that the Port Harcourt-Maiduguri Railway, Port Harcourt-Maiduguri Railway will come on stream, is being worked upon, and yet we are not seeing much being carried on those lines. The Lagos Kano that we believe is working in some parts, I don't think is fully linked. We did Abuja, Kaduna, essentially for passenger traffic. So we're not using all the modes of transportation. We're not completely multimodal right now in moving goods and services. We are using mostly road. The pipes are already truncated by the breaches we've heard from Niger Delta, even up to the middle of the country. So we're using the roads, and that is also what is hurting the roads. We build roads before you finish one section, another section is bad. The axle load is beyond prescription. So when I say there is work, Mr. President, there is work, really. And every once in a while, I empathize with you because you need to deal with these issues of the sequencing activity. And these activities have to be done simultaneously. We look at the whole chain. As we're making investment in refineries or attracting investment in refinery, we'll be attracting investment in other parts of the chain so that we can have, we remove these hiccups. I mean, that's assuming that the story that it is a logistic thing is the gospel truth, as they said. As long as the market is still not fully deregulated in different dimensions. Deregulation not just removing price control. Deregulation is other entrants into the different parts of the economy, upstream, downstream, midstream, and the subsequent constituent parts of the chain. Until we get all that done, we will keep having this hiccup. But the earliest way to kill the hiccup is to allow more entrants so that competition can drive efficiency.
All right, let's take a breather. And when we come back, the president didn't stop at talking about fuel subsidy removal and its effect and what his intention and the intention of his government are on that particular item on his economic list. But he also spoke about the currency and the decision that have been made. We'll talk more about this when we return from this break, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone. The activities of President Bola Tinubu in the past days are taking our attention. The one that really is of the major conversation tonight is the one where he was meeting and talking at the World Economic Forum in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. This came on the heels of his meeting at the Nigerian-Netherlands Business Forum, where President has been seeking trade relations and, of course, investment opportunities across the globe. We understand that the president has secured a $600 million with a German logistics company. And also, the president has been speaking with the president and the CEO, as well as the chairman of Samsung Electronics Global, and of course with Bill Gates, one of the top leaders in technology development in the world. The president is speaking and telling them how important technology is needed in Nigeria to curb corruption. The president has told Mr. Bill Gates, he said, we must invest in technology. He says technology is the enemy of fraud. And he made reference to what happened in Lagos when he was governor. The president is asking these global tech investors to come and look in the way of Nigeria to help Nigeria grow. I've been speaking with the president of the African Economic Summit, Dr. Sam Ohabunwa, who's been speaking with us from our Lagos studio. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. Let me allow you to listen to another part of what President Tinubu said today, which is in the area of the currency and what his government is doing in that respect. Take a listen to President Tinubu earlier today.
currency management was necessary equally to remove the artificial element of value in our currency. Let our local currency find its level and compete with the rest of the world currency and remove arbitrage, corruption, and opaqueness. That's what we did. At the same time, that's a two-engine problem in a very turbulent situation for the government.
Leaders on decisions currently. Dr. What's your assessment of what the president said?
Well, again, I think the president was being truthful in terms of saying what he did, and acknowledged that it was like flying an aeroplane and you have trouble on the two engines, and that's a dangerous thing because if God does not intervene, it could be it could be fatal. So the president acknowledges that, and I think the world had always wanted us to see the best we can to make our currency much more easily tradable. You know, but the truth of the matter is that the president said he wanted Nigerian currency to find its weight. And all of us saw that the Nigerian currency just was a paperweight. And it went beyond below featherweight. It was becoming a paperweight. It got to 1,900 naira to the dollar until frantic actions were taken to stop that weight balancing. So while I believe, as I say, from my persuasion and from the ideological standpoint, economic ideological standpoint, I believe currency is a commodity, is exchangeable, and has a price and a cost. But if I must do anything for my economy, I want to do it at the time when I am able to defend my economy or my currency. At the time we did the flotation, we saw that it was a tough job defending the naira. It was tough, and I must salute the president and also the CBN governor and his team for rallying all manner of. I think they must have issued up to 200-300 circulars in a couple of weeks to block holes and fight all the battles with Bureau de Change, with all manner of people. And they've been able to steady the naira, and we are now trying to get its real weight. I believe also it's an economic policy. Every country decides what is best for it. The Bretton Woods institutions would like you to let your naira float, but that is a recipe for making your country completely dependent on the rest of the world, because we are doing global trade where the dollar is the common denominator. So we ought to be much more determined now that every effort must be made to ensure that the naira does not depreciate further or depreciate in a violent manner. Every currency must...
Dr. Wambua, yeah. But the kind of freedom the president was talking about, that he wanted the naira to have, based on the kind of free fall that the naira has experienced, there are two major decisions of government when they came into office, and the flotation, the balancing of the FX windows. And when we wonder, okay, well, this perhaps are some of the decisions that should be made. But the question is, in the past days, we've seen the naira slide. There's a question here.
That's the point.
There are issues
that's the point.
on the price of commodity. Food inflation is on the high. The headline inflation is also on the high. The inflation and unemployment rate are competing as though they are twin brothers. And it's a situation that one will wonder if all of these policies of government are not just manual and not for temporary. Is it working? That's going to be the question anybody will be asking. Are those policies working?
Sure, that's the point I was trying to make, that having taken that bold step, and we found that if we follow that route, the naira will be dead. I call it paper weight. It could be less than that. It could be straw weight. And the reason it got to that level are many. Some are due to some malfeasance. Some people taking advantage of our poor policy management and the lacuna they saw. But principally, the major issue is that we're depending largely on the sale of oil for inflow of foreign exchange. Now that we are here, my proposal and my prayer and my wish, and I'm sure that's the wish of most Nigerians, is that we need to do more than borrowing money to shore up the naira. We need to design fast, productive activities. We need to start what I will call export all exportables, a campaign of export all exportables, from agricultural products to manufactured products to crafts and arts to invisible export of human technology and human knowledge, whatever we can, and there are a lot of things we can. And that's where I come. We need to look at intra-African trade. This is what we're trying to project in the African Economic Summit. We need to do inter-African trade. It will help to also generate some foreign exchange for us. Getting from Netherlands and doing business with foreign countries and in other parts of the world is good. But we have some, what they call, some low-hanging fruits within the African Continental Free Trade Act, which will promote intra-African trade because it brings exchange. There are certain things we can trade in Africa, and it will help to reduce the pressure on us, on the naira. And so if we do not have an enhanced opportunity to earn foreign exchange through intra-African trade, through exports, through increased manufacturing, and the ability to utilize and export some of them, because there's just no magic. We can't borrow our way out to sustain the weight of the naira against the dollar. And as you have said, there is always a proportional relationship with the depreciation of the naira and inflation in today's economy. So this is the challenge the government is facing, and I can assume that they are working on it, but it is something they need to do harder. Otherwise, we will lose just some of this reprieve we have received now. Production, exportation, intra-African trade, these are some of the things I think we need to work harder on to bring in more foreign exchange.
Give us an understanding of the kind of trade push that the president is making. The ones with Netherlands and some of the ones is also pushing at in the sideline of the meetings in Riyadh. How do we engender or foster some quick wins from trade and investment from foreign investors in the country? What do you think we need to tell them, considering the rule of law corridor or climate in Nigeria? Because that, a lot of people will tell you that some of the freest economies of this world, the rule of law must be rock solid. That can guarantee that your investment is safe in those kind of environment. What do you make of those push, and what do we need to do?
Sh0Ck, investment capital is cowardly. Secondly, it obeys the law of gravity. It flows from where it is least needed to where it is best needed. It flows from where it's least rewarded to the place where it's most rewarded. So there's competition. There's no love in global investment. People are rational. So this is why the work to be done to create an enabling environment, to make Nigeria investment friendly so that all these efforts will be long lasting and yield the right results will be required. So we need to be doing a lot. The kind of work the president is doing, getting people to listen to him and showing that things are happening in Nigeria. There must be a corresponding hard work in transforming the environment, making your arrival at the airport hassle-free, making your movement within the country hassle-free, dealing with the issues we are facing on security and all those things that restrict. Then doing policy and disentanglement. We need to train ourselves. Today, we still have difficulties, even people just traveling into the country, not to talk of doing business in the country. The doing business environment, despite some efforts made, some results made, we are still not comparative, we are still not competitive. I mean, if you go to Dubai and some other places, you can see what it is to welcome and treat an investor. So what are the quick wins? As you just said, the quick wins for us is the shortest state is agriculture. These investments that are going to come, when they come as foreign direct investment, if they are not going to oil and gas, then it will take 2, 3 years or 4 years for those investments to begin to yield finished products, if they are supposed to. So what we need to look at, what is the lowest in here? We have agriculture, we have mining, we have quarries, we have cotton, we have leather, we have hides and skin, we have those things, which are available. Put some effort around them. And, the time we did, Green Revolution or the other program on agriculture, everybody in the country was sufficiently mobilized and say, we need to start to produce in a commercial way and begin to drive export. Let Nigeria set its moves, set its systems to come to every company, every business line, the different 11, 12, 13 industrial groups within the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. What can you produce that we can export? And what help do you need from government so that we can help you? The agricultural people, what can we do? Put tractors in every local government so that it can help both the artisanal farmers and the commercial farmers. Some crops can grow in 3 months, and we put them in a plane, refrigerated, and send them to parts of Europe and earn foreign exchange. You can even put together cultural groups, cultural troops, and send them to the cities of America and Europe. And they do shows in stadiums, and people are paying $100, £100. It's foreign exchange. You bring them home. We must act that way, that we desperately need foreign income to be able to support our Naira. While we are doing that, then the big investments are cooking up. The investment is grinding. We're setting up, going through the process of building and bringing machinery and setting up the companies or whatever to produce whatever they're going to produce. But our greatest area is take what we have now, which is the agriculture, Nigerian natural agricultural endowment, textile, those kind of fashion, things that are available in our country, and we can sell some in Côte d'Ivoire, in Africa.
Dr. Wabo, apologies. I need to take a break now. Sorry. Just for a moment, I need to go on a break. When we come back, we come to our concluding part of the conversation. Now, hopefully, we have Professor Khalifa Dikwa, the Dean of Borno Elders Forum, to give us some insight on some of these issues also. Stay with me, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's get some other perspective to this conversation. I'd like to bring in the Dean of the Borno Elders Forum, who has joined us from virtually from Kaduna, Professor Khalifa Dikwa. Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us this evening. I know it's been a very turbulent one trying to get hold of you to speak to us, albeit the several logistic issues. But thank you so much indeed. Let me get straight to the point. What do you make of some of the... Thank you so much, Prof. What do you make of the position of President Tinubu, what he said to the world and the global leaders on the reasons of the removal of subsidy and also on the issues of the currency. What are your thoughts on those?
First of all, I would like us to know that we shouldn't compare our country to countries that already have enough basic infrastructure, particularly in terms of electricity, of what they can give us energy for the people to move around, and in terms of fuel subsidy, education, and even agri economies, for the economy to connect it to agri. That is exactly what the VP himself read, a first class lecture of that matter. So Nigeria has everything, but what about the action, the actors themselves? We have to fit in people who know the thing, who will do it the way we want Nigeria to move, even if it means bringing people from outside, from the diaspora, our own people. There are many, wherever they went there, they excelled. Why not in Nigeria? And secondly, we have to make sure that the youngsters from Nigeria, wherever they grow, they should be able to be patriotic. How can they be patriotic? You cannot get them to be patriotic without taking charge of their education, basic and well-paying jobs. So patriotism, it is not just like that. This wild capitalistic system has destroyed America itself. Today, the Americans do not respect their leaders because of that individualistic system of this. The media will not talk about what we call them, the private media like channels and others. I've been talking about it. There are things that people dare not to even mention them. Today, with what is happening, the double standard in Ukraine, the treatment of IDPs in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia, the same thing with Gaza and Israel and so on. These are things that are coming. So, in view of the little time allotted to it, I just apologize that sometime next time we will do it a better job in order to talk the time. So Mr. President should listen to Nigerians, should listen to the professionals and those who are working with Mr. President, should ensure that any professor, any professional who gives a theory or practical or solution in terms of economy, in terms of fixing our basic infrastructure, his name must be booked. His name must be there. He should know that there is any slightest fault, mistake, the name of that professional or professor must be mentioned, so that we don't get people who get paid very well, handsomely, and then they mislead our leadership. Our leadership is not...
Prof, quickly, if I may, do you subscribe to those who say perhaps some of the glitches that we are seeing or some of the problems that we are seeing at the moment are due to sabotage?
Yes, the sabotage in there. It is sabotage. I will give you two instances where, how dare you, we said 6 months, even the government that went out, President Buhari, promised 6 months to fix the refineries. It didn't happen. 8 years. And the 8 years. So what is it only for Africa? It's Nigeria and Angola whose refineries are not being fixed because of sabotage. And those sabotaging are well paid, handsomely paid from within and outside for the interests of foreign countries, foreign authorities, foreign who have interest in keeping Nigeria behind the thing. Saying that they say they believe that Nigeria's coming up in terms of electricity, in terms of fuel subsidies and so on, the basic things is an essential threat to them. In the way Ajaokuta Steel Company was pulled down from 98%, it was pulled down to 0. So we have to face the reality. We have, the media and academics should refuse to be politically correct. That is our pay. We must pay back. We must give it back to the society that created us. And therefore, I cherish the idea that whatever being implemented coming from anywhere, World Bank, anywhere on African Bank, our own is there, or World Bank, or IMF, and so on. All those things must be checked and cross-checked in that
All right,
IMF
Prof.
so far, there is nowhere in Africa where IMF World Bank advice has ever worked. They can give us one country. They cannot give it.
All right.
And therefore, we have every right to say, no, let us have our own professionals to go through the ideas, and then please don't blackmail our president. Don't blackmail our ministers. Whatever it is that happened in the past happened. Nobody should blackmail us over what happened at the secondary school level or primary. That's all.
Professor Khalifa Dikwa, unfortunately,
the leader of Africa.
Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't get enough time with you based on the technical issues that we have. But thank you so much indeed. As well as Dr. Sam Ohabwa, who is the president of the Africa Economy Summit. Thank you so much indeed for your time also. We appreciate it. But that's how far we can go on the program tonight. Many thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much for sticking to this video to the end. Like I said before, now it's time for us to go to the comment section to air our mind and our opinion. Say what you think about this video and this platform. Do it constructively. Share this video, like, subscribe, and also continue to watch Linda's TV show, because this is the home of news. Until I see you again in my next video, remain blessed. For now, I would say bye-bye.